Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
We're live and we're back after our one and only break ever. How about that?
Welcome back. The one and only time ever.
The technical difficulties.
Yeah. How you doing, Mike Pereno?
Good. Happy 7th of July. We're back after a little bit of time off. You had, I know, an amazing trip kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So I want to hear about that.
Middle of nowhere is a good way to describe Beaver Island, Michigan.
Literally on an island.
Yep. We have, for those that live in Michigan and a lot of the people that watch us here, are our fellow, Metro Detroit, Michigan-based event peeps. You know what the phrase up north means. It means a lot of different places.
Anywhere 30 minutes north of where you live or far enough away. It doesn't even have to be up north, right? It could be just a little out west.
Yeah,
But
if you're on Lake
somewhere on a
Michigan,
lake-ish.
Yeah, or if you're out in the woods, you are up north.
Right.
And our up north is on Beaver Island, which is 32 miles out into the middle of Lake Michigan, out in the middle of nowhere. The island is 13 miles tall, 7 miles wide, and is truly paradise, heaven on earth. My family's been going there for like 100 years.
That's pretty awesome. How long does it take you to get? So I know how long it takes to get there driving, but once you get on the ferry, how long does it take to go?
Yeah, so 4 hours to Charlevoix, and then in Charlevoix you get on a big old boat, the Emerald Isle or the Beaver Islander, depending on the time slot, and it takes 2 hours and 10 minutes to the T to get out to the harbor on Beaver Island. Yep,
It's pretty sweet.
I usually, well, not usually, like our tradition, everything about this trip is tradition, even getting into Charlevoix at 6 a.m. to get McDonald's breakfast. It's the only time all year that we eat McDonald's breakfast before then getting to the ferry dock to drop our car off. But so as event peeps, our tradition is that we do our gig on a Saturday night, or in this case, it was a Sunday night.
Right.
And then we drive through the night to get to Charlevoix by the morning so that we can be on the island by like 10:40 or so.
Awesome.
And you still have that whole first day versus waiting until the morning to drive through a bunch of traffic and then taking a late afternoon ferry, missing that whole first day. So then you get up there and then it all starts. But if you've never been and you're watching this, well, actually, you know what? Part of me kind of wants to encourage you to check out Beaver Island.
But keep it a secret.
Yeah, the rest of me is like, go to Petoskey.
Go to Petoskey. So how much more remote is it? Obviously, it's really hard to get there. People still know about it. So are there lots of people there, or is it a little more laid back? What's the vibe?
There's a few hundred year-round residents, so not a lot of people. More since COVID, people have moved up since then. They've got a little influx of what we call fudgies, which are not islanders, and they've had a little influx. But a few hundred year-round residents. 4th of July, you'll get
Everybody.
1,000 people that'll get onto the island. But at its most ever, a couple thousand people that'll be on the island total. They're spread around. And so like on the 4th of July when they have the big parade and everybody comes into town, that's like the only time you'll see everybody right there. Otherwise, it is a small group. And growing up we had our family, but all the other people that grew up on the island and their families, we're all one big family. So when we do our reunion, it's not just my family, it's a few other friends and their families, and we all love to see each other. And I used to spend a couple months every summer up on that island, so I feel like it's awesome. It's truly home to me. Yeah.
Yeah, epic.
And especially the timing of it, when we're in the middle of like the busiest part of event season, it's one of those welcomed, breaks for me to get up there and just kind of check out for a week.
Right, literally count the days and minutes till you're there.
I'm already counting down to next year, baby. Beaver Island, I will see you in 2027.
Right.
How about you? What was the 4th of July like for you?
We had a busy week work-wise. We had a multi-day Indian wedding Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then a single day on Sunday. So we kind of split it through the team, so you didn't have to miss the whole weekend. But it was a busy weekend. I had to work Sunday, but I had fun up at Whitmore Lake with my family for the fireworks on Friday, and then the small town parade on Saturday. So I grew up going there as a kid when it was all tiny little teeny cottages and stuff like that. Now my parents built a house. Everybody's built a house on the lake. There's no more cottages.
Of
But it
course.
still has that teeny tiny small town feel. So it's up north for us, but it's only 45 minutes away, which is great.
Yeah. Don't you love when you see, like, so again, where we live in Metro Detroit, there's hundreds of lakes and just tons and tons of lakes. Sorry, there's a fire truck outside the
can hear
window
it.
here. Yeah. And you can always tell, like, you got these multi-million-dollar homes, and anytime you see a small old house, it's literally only a matter of time before somebody
yeah.
tears that down and builds a $2 million home on it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. What does the rest of July and August look like for you? Like, are you guys the summer of 2026? Is it crazy? Is it typical? Is it slow? Like, what's it like right now?
Yeah, it's weird. Good summer overall. July is a bit strange. So we had a busy start, we have a busy finish, and we have a little bit of gaps in the middle. But the gaps are filled with some commercial and corporate stuff, which is cool. So we have wedding gaps on the weekends. So everybody's going to look forward to a little bit more time. I'm sure either up north at the lake or in the woods this month. So we still got a lot of work, got a ton of catching up to do from edits. But as far as weddings specifically, it's a little slower in July. August, September, October, November, back to normal. So at first, you and I always have this conversation like there's a panic every year. We're going to lose the business. I'm going to have to sell my truck or whatever it is, and then it always, okay, we're booked.
Yeah.
So this was that little bit of panic time, but I switched the mindset and said, you know what? I've been doing this for 16 years. I can take 2 weeks off. Let's do that. Have 2 weekends a year. What the heck? So I'm looking forward to it. We have some family time planned. And then I got to do some really fun things like fix the stairs, paint the bathroom, things that you can get away with not doing almost for like years straight because you're like, well, I don't have a weekend. Sorry, guys, and now I do. So things like that are on my list.
Amen. By the way, my mom is watching as usual. She was on the island with us. Hi, Mom. Glad you made it home safe. We all have to drive home separately, when we leave the island on
It's
different
always
days.
such a sad feeling, too. Like, you spend that week together, and then you're like, rebuild the bonds. The family obviously drive each other crazy a little bit. But then, like, when everyone gets in the car at the same time, it's like a song, of sadness that just plays. And you drive off and you just feel like a little bit of melancholy loneliness, but happy that it got to happen again.
Yeah. By the end of that week, we're sad to leave, but ready to go. And when you're on Beaver Island and leaving at different times, you're getting on a boat and waving goodbye, like Love Boat style.
Yeah, right. Totally.
To everybody as you pull out of the harbor. So
how cinematic.
It adds that bittersweet moment. So, okay. I thought about this topic, number one, because it's a very good flow from what we've been talking about.
Right.
But I had the fortunate opportunity to work with you directly at a wedding.
And you.
Yes, likewise.
With you.
2 weeks ago. A week and 3 days ago, I guess we should say. And so like last week. And it was fresh on the heels of an episode you and I did where we talked about, some of the crazy things that can happen on travel weddings and the role that vendors play and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And the wedding that we did last weekend, it wasn't a fluke. It was the way it always goes, not just with you and with me, but with our planner, Jenny, the photographer, Brian, the venue, the Detroit Athletic Club. We had this particular team of vendors, and it was so smooth and so cohesive.
It was fun.
It was fun, and it was perfect, and it was easy.
Yes. Easy to perform, to do your best, to go above and beyond. That's what's great. Because when you have a team that knows what they're doing, you can pull off more than you would normally be able to.
Yeah. And you and I kind of looked at each other at one point and we're like, yeah, this one's locked. We're gonna be good. And we'll tell you as we go through this episode exactly what that looked like and why that was. But it wasn't because of either one of us per se.
Right.
We were little tiny pieces.
Pieces in the puzzle.
Yeah, set to that. And every couple, every client, every person planning a wedding will obsess over each and every vendor that they're going to hire. They look at your photos and your video reels.
And maybe 10, 20 others, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, do your research, right? But hey.
Yep. And there's some fatigue that'll set in as they watch them, and they'll check out a bunch of bands, and they'll listen, they'll read the spiel from a a planner and all that kind of stuff. But I think that one of the most important questions that should be getting asked, that I doubt couples really ever ask, is how well do these vendors work together? And that should
Very
be one of the
important.
primary questions.
Yeah, totally. That's synergy is the biggest, I think, biggest contributor to a smooth event.
Yeah, yeah. So I got to thinking about, like, while we were there working together, and listen, a lot of the synergies you and I can enjoy come from doing so many weddings together. But
Right.
I think just as much, if this was our first one, if you get the right team, you start from day one in the best place possible. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. People who actually know what they're doing, they're not adding stress, they're not adding worry, they're not adding headache.
Yep. And when I look upstream, behind me at the day up until the point where I don't want to say take over, but step in, so to speak.
Right.
When everybody's done their job flawlessly and seamlessly and well together, I'm in a position to knock it out of the park because I'm not stressing about having to stop the party so that the bride and groom or the couple can escape away to get those pictures that weren't gotten earlier because the timeline was running late.
Right.
And I'm sure you would have a version of that if the ceremony runs later, you have to send a guy over to get drone footage because
or hair and makeup or whatever it is, or traffic, or the bus gets lost.
Right, right. We are set up to feed off our room that's already just in a great place,
Yeah.
So with that said, my first question for you is, from the other side of the camera, from behind the lens, that lack of stress and anxiety, or that easy flow of a good timeline, how does that affect your ability to capture better content for your clients?
Yeah, great question. I mean, when people work together, in this case, we've all worked together in the past a bunch of times, but like whether it's that or people who know exactly what they're doing and they're real professionals, it just makes the day so much easier for everybody, not just the next person in line. So we were able to go above and beyond, capture some more stuff than we had originally planned because the timeline actually stayed on track. No one was late, nobody got lost. And then that helps keep the couple smooth and happy and present. And then for photography and then videography, in this case is what we did, everything just flows nice and smoothly. So there's a lot of little extra, Easter egg gems hidden in a day that is coordinated well with awesome vendors. And it's usually just people feeling good about everything. Like your job as a vendor, whether you're, beginning, middle, end of the day, is to help keep this day flowing for the couple, right? The couple, their family, so they can literally not even worry about anything and you can do your job. So this week was an awesome example of that. There weren't any missed moments. We had Jenny, keeping us on task for the timeline and flowing and making sure we had enough movement for everything. We worked really well with Brian. Then obviously walk in, see you guys, high five. I don't even have to ask where I plug in anymore. We just pop it in. Sometimes if it's a little more of a stingy, let's say DJ or group, they won't let you plug into their board or they don't let you do this. And now all of a sudden your audio plan is out the window. So you have to come up with contingencies, which we do. But in this case, it was like just so much more fun. And the stress level is literally 0 for us, which means creativity could be up to 100, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you hit on one thing I want to ask you about. Some of your weddings, you're doing both photo and video. Some of them, like the one we just worked, you're doing video. Somebody else was doing photography.
Yep.
Not just the timeline, but just keeping to the theme of this episode of building a dream vendor team. How does it help you when I can imagine there's instances where photographer is gonna have to say, okay, everybody freeze. And okay, now stand here and doing things to get a shot that are not conducive at all to getting good video.
Right.
But I gotta imagine there's a good version of that where photos are getting captured creatively and effortlessly while not hindering you from also grabbing video. But you also don't want to be like, guys, come on, let's put some life into this. And the photographer's like, shut up. I didn't understand. Like, talk to me a little bit about how that works between you two.
There's a little bit of back and forth with that. Brian's an amazing professional, so he's very like cognizant of us needing some additional stuff. So obviously there's some poses and things like that. There's a lot of movement in photography too, but every once in a while he'd get what he needs. We'd shoot over his shoulder, shoot some candid stuff, things like that, and go, all right, hold for video. And now we jump in, lead a little bit, get some movement, get some walking shots, a little bit of spin, whatever it might be, and then back to you. And then so while we're doing our thing, he's shooting and still getting some great candid stuff, and vice versa. So that is a huge plus. Obviously, when we're working as a team, photo and video, like solo Killer Creations, we do that all the time because we've done it thousands and thousands of times. It was awesome working with Brian because he's a true professional, so he just knows that we need some of our stuff as well. So it's not just, hey, let me get what I need to get, and I'm the only, it's the photographer show or whatever. It's, hey, we're doing this for the bride and groom, and when we're all executing at the top level, they're going to be happy with my service when your service is also great, right? So one little mess up, I guess, or one bad apple in the group, so to speak, is going to bring the whole experience down. So awesome. Yeah. Okay. Awesome experience overall.
Okay. So here's my version of that. And this first segment, we're talking about the theme of the episode being, assembling a dream vendor team to make your wedding the absolute best that it can be, or if you're a vendor, being a part of the process of helping to create those teams.
Right.
And so I think for us, one of the things that I look at when I look at photo and video is when I'm emceeing an event and I'm getting ready to do grand intros, or I want to introduce toasts and speeches, and the toast could be a best man and a maid of honor from behind a table, but dad for the welcome speech and the prayer from the over here.
Right.
So different things happen, and a cake cutting over there, and a first dance that's going to be over here. Having a photo and video team, and I say this just to make a point, not because that can keep up, so to speak.
Right.
Where they're quick to tell me when I say, where would you like toast to happen? First and foremost, I'm going to offer that option to ask, and then they're going to say, I want it here, I want this.
Right.
I'm going to be able to say, I'm going to give you time between here and here to reset lights and do this. Having a team that knows how to work with other people and not just have the horse blinders on and just see their own lane.
It's the Derek show.
No, it is very much not.
No, it's the opposite. I'm just joking. Like, that is one thing. So thank you so much for always doing that. So you'd be amazed at how many people we work with that just are like, oh, the hosts are going to be right here because my microphone and blah, blah, blah. And it won't, and you're like, wait a minute, that's the worst spot ever because the background has exit signs and this and that. Yeah. Well, we don't care, but we do. So you get creative, you shoot tight, you shoot around it. But when there's the synergy and the help and you actually say, hey, you have a creative vision here. What do you want to do? We very much appreciate that because that's going to make their film look better. And they didn't even know it. It's because you gave us the option, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's, a lot of it, of course, comes from experience. But keeping to the theme of this episode, a lot of it is when you put the right team together. And here's a little sound bite for the socials. If you're planning a wedding, make that one of the questions, or start with. Actually, I don't want to skip ahead. That's
just
the next
teasing. Ooh, teasing.
Yeah, there's a sound bite coming.
Sound bite coming.
Right now, we're defining what a dream team of vendors is, and the next little chunk of time here, we'll talk about, how to do that. But the point is, when you've got a venue that is very friendly in helping all of the vendors get in and do what they need to do, when
right.
You've got a planner who is like the water between the ice cubes, helping to make sure everything is connected seamlessly.
Right.
And then you've got vendors like us, photo and video and entertainment, who know how to do everything they have to do while enabling the other vendors to do their absolute best. And that happens all the way through the day. You
right.
have everything you need for a seamless, perfect, and I dare say, most importantly, stress-free wedding.
Right on.
All right. Okay, so now, how do you do that? If you're watching this and you're like,
it's so easy.
It's so easy to fall in love. Okay, here's one of the tips I would give: debate or add on. I say in most cases, I mean, I think it's in most cases couples are going to pick the venue first because where they have
Right.
everything is going to be. But when it comes to assembling a dream team, I think you get your planner in place first, but you ask that planner, you talk to them and say, it's very important to me that all of the vendors know how to work together really, really well. And while, yeah, I'm doing my Google searches and my AI searches and my research and this and
Right.
that, I want your help in putting together a team of people that will create this vision I have, bring it to life, and who work really, really well together. So for me, step one is you get a planner in place, or you get that one key vendor. If you're not having a planner, maybe it's the MC, the entertainment, and you
Right.
ask them, tell me who you work great together with and who does an amazing job based on the vision I've given you.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, I think kind of having that one anchor point or like center hub for the whole wheel is super important. And then I love what you just said, like based on the vision I've given you. So they might have some of their favorites, but now, wait a minute, you said you wanted really documentary or you wanted this and that, or you wanted jazz, whatever. So it's like, oh, well, maybe those three that I usually work with aren't the best fit, but I also work with these guys and they work great together. So we're going to recommend those to you. So having that planner as your central hub or almost like your coach of your team, right? They're
Right.
going to be able to guide you in the right direction. Say, hey, these people work together all the time. They are that style. They're top level, and you're going to love them. And then you can have that personal connection, reach out, call, see if it works. But I think that's super important because they give you different options based on what you're looking for, or ideally should, right? Not just say, I'm the gatekeeper and I'm the planner, and here's the list of the only people I work with, and they're my style, not yours.
Yeah.
I think that'll run out quick.
Yeah. And then I think by doing that, it why it beats just trying to go in a silo for each vendor is you mentioned it earlier, and I can't remember the way you worded it, but the way I look at it is like decision fatigue, right? Where
Yeah, totally.
I always wonder in the Olympics when you've got an event like figure skating or something where there's a judge, like swimming, it's timed, right?
Right, yeah.
When you touch the end, the clock stops. That's the winner. But like figure skating, you've got these judges who have to watch what you do and decide
Right.
how good you did it. And I always wonder if
Kind
like,
of arbitrary decision on who I like the most,
Yeah.
and at a certain point.
but this phrase, this decision fatigue, do these judges when they start with the first few, they're like, oh, this is great, man. I'm in. Let's go. Like, oh, that was awesome. But by like the 20th couple, they're like, okay, I'm hungry. I have to go to the bathroom. I
Right.
don't know.
How many-
8.5?
How many more times can you spin in a circle? Come on now,
Right.
guys.
And I wonder if we're humans. That's got to be a real thing. So I say that to explain, like, when you're a couple planning a wedding and you watch you read the first blurb of a planner, and by the 30th time when you've read the similar ones, or in your case, they watch your wedding highlight reel or a couple of your past client reels, right?
Right.
But then they have to watch 10 more of those videos. And you and I have talked about this before. They're all going to be kind of similar in many of the aspects.
Right.
Some will clearly stand out, but there's going to be that fatigue will set in.
Yeah.
But
and then,
go ahead.
so I was going to say, and then the more vendors you add in, the more fatigue you're going to get. So, like, it might be literally 10 photographers, but now you're also looking at 6 different videographers, and now you're also looking at a band and a DJ or a musician. And so at some point, you're just like, let's just hire somebody,
Yep.
I've talked to people, we've had this conversation before where couples nowadays are literally like, maybe in the past they'd look at 2 or 3 venues, maybe 4, but like they'll come in and have already looked at 15 or 20, and now you're the 21st venue or the 21st photographer, which isn't crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but I guess it's good to have those options, but it's too much information.
Yep. Exactly. And that fatigue sets in. Whereas if you pick that one first vendor, whether it's the planner or again maybe like the MC, and then ask who do you recommend, who do you work well with together, who will execute and bring my vision to life, and you go from that angle, I think you're giving yourself not only just as good of a list of people and doing it more efficiently to look at, but you're also adding in that element of knowing who works well together that you don't get to learn about when you're
Right.
just looking in those silos. So that's the first part about how you do it, right?
Yeah, I think that's super important. I mean, a lot of times, like we mentioned, sometimes the venue's the first, and then they have their list of preferred vendors, right? And then that might be a shot in the dark. It's good to be on that list of preferred vendors because you can say, once they call, you can say, hey, yeah, we've worked there a million times. We know this and that of the place. We know this about the acoustics. The lighting's awesome at Golden Hour, whatever it is, but kind of puts you into that silo. So maybe get that list, find a planner, and then jump into the full, you know, the full deep dive of planning. But here's the kickback. What if you have a couple? They want to do it all themselves. They're just going to burn out and pick whoever at the end. How do you think that's going to roll?
When you say that, do you mean they
Like they're going to do all the plan. We'll have a planner, but we're going to pick every venue or vendor. Like I
Yeah.
think they always end up coming back to whatever the planner had said. Like, don't you think so?
Okay. I guess here's where I would make that a tip that we could give to other vendors who might be watching this. Make this very much a part of your pitch in your social media and on your website when people are evaluating you if they're doing it on their own. Add that in as one of the primary benefits features that you offer is that you work extremely well with the other vendors in town. You'd be happy to provide a list of recommendations, but
Yeah.
answer a question that they didn't even know to ask. Put that as a primary feature right on your website and do social media where you point out that, hey, we do this for you. We'll do this. This is what our package includes. This is our, we play all these songs and this and that. And we're known throughout the industry as a vendor who works extremely well and is easy to work with in town. And we will use that aspect of our skill set to give you the best wedding possible. So that's how I would answer that. Like if they want to do it themselves, don't just let's assume there are couples that do want to
Right.
do it that way. So you've got to figure out a way to get that message across.
Yeah, that's a great point.
If you can't trust a planner to be saying that for you because they're not hiring one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you said something a few
Smart.
minutes ago that I wanted to point out that I think you made a really good point. And that is that there's a huge difference between a venue's preferred vendor list and a planner's personal recommendation list.
Totally.
Those are not the same thing. Thoughts?
True. Yeah. I think, at the base level, I know there's literally like venues out there, they'll contact us. It's like a place don't go regularly or some random something out in the middle of nowhere. And they're like, hey, would you like to be on a preferred vendors list? Your work's great. Sure. Awesome. Okay, great. It's $1,000 and you'll be on there. So that's the base level you get. Obviously,
Right.
there's like a relationship you build and over time. And like we did the DAC this past week. We've been shooting there for years and years and years. We're one of the preferred vendors there. So that's great. Different story. We're not paying just to be there, but I'm sure that's something you run into and vendors would run into. Couples would run into in their search, just kind of pulling off those, So
Yep.
that's one danger point and warning.
Yeah. And so all of that said, I'm going to go back to the beginning and say and talk about how the fact is that you and I did this wedding together and why it wasn't just because of us, you or me. It was because there was a complete team of people that each had a piece of the puzzle that cohesively fed off of and fed into the vendors around them and wasn't just aimed at doing their one piece of the puzzle good. So you had a planner whose timeline flowed really seamlessly.
Right.
You had a photographer and a videographer who work well together, can help each other get the shots they want and they need and that they know their client is looking for. And then you've got, a group like us who now can take what is a fun, relaxed, calm vibe and read that energy and build an amazing party off of it. And so it having that team as a whole made the wedding a whole lot better than it would have otherwise been.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the key points that you stated there, it's not necessarily that we've worked together a million times or just the talent. It's having a vision that's just greater than your own scope, right? We're not there just to do videography or just to do photography, although that's why we're hired. But when you bring that added value of looking beyond yourself to create a great experience for the couple as a team, not just in your own little bubble, the day's better for everybody, and it's going to be much better for that specific couple and their family.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
So you had mentioned kind of the planner, going back to the planner being that center point, right? So if you trust your planner, they can help you vet a couple of photographers or cinematographers, this and that. And then I feel like from there, they have to call and you have to really build that personal connection, right? Especially with your photographer. Videographers, it's like it's hit or miss. Sometimes we always love to build that relationship, but sometimes they're like, hey, your work's great. We trust you. You've been referred. We're going with you. Pow. And then, you touch base a little bit later. But a photographer, I feel like there's a little bit more involved ahead of time in building that relationship. We offer engagement sessions, stuff like that, to get the couple comfortable in front of the camera, things like that. So there's a lot of personal relationship building, right? So I feel like, just to play the devil's advocate, like, is that something you need to deal with on your end, or it can be like, hey, just, E3, they're awesome. Go with Derek. Bam, done. You got it.
Well, I would say the underlying question there is, can you, as a client, as a couple planning a wedding, can you and should you just trust your planner to pick your vendors for you? That's a hot take. That's a huge, I think that could be debated hotly.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that absolutely the answer could be yes. A couple that finds the right planner could trust them to hear out what their vision is. And I will say it this way, give them 2 options at each stop to go interview and talk to. Give them 2 bands, 2 photographers, 2 videographers, and say, pick from these 2. You've told me what your vision is. You've told me this, like you mentioned, documentary style,
right.
the style of shooting. They'll tell them the kind of party and the types of music that they want and the level of interaction that they want. And a good planner should absolutely be able to give them the shortest of short lists versus this endless vendor shopping where you're going to run into that fatigue and end up making a decision and picking somebody because you're tired of having the same conversation over and over and over again. You're tired of looking at, material that is, in the grand scheme of things, not drastically different in many cases. But also, again, you got a planner who knows who has the chemistry and will include that in their recommendations. But it's not just the planner. If somebody came to you because they saw your photos and said, Mike is my first person that I'm going to book, so they book you first, you could do the same thing. You could give them, we
do have a list of referrals, exactly the same thing. Like, who do you trust? Who do you trust for hair and makeup? How about music? Hey, I know this guy, Derek. He did my wedding. Amazing group. If you're looking for this vibe, this style, high energy, tons of fun. Boom.
But I'm also not the only person you would recommend to them.
There's a couple other people. Okay, you're looking for this style. I know this group here too. You need Italian songs.
Whoa! What? What did you just? You would recommend somebody that's not me? How dare you, sir?
Yeah, take that.
Oh,
how many songs can you sing in foreign languages? How about that?
You know what? This podcast is done. I am. No, I'm kidding.
You're always the top, and I say if he's not available, then maybe somebody else is out there. I'll find you one.
Yeah.
It's usually me I recommend, just by the way.
There you go.
Banjo music by Mike for your wedding.
I love it. Now the alternate angle there is, I think that it is important that the couple does ultimately make a conscious choice to choose to select you as their vendor. So I don't think having a planner blindly book the other vendors is the right way to go.
Yeah, maybe pre-vet them per style, per vibe, per field for that specific couple.
Yeah. I think it's important that you have a planner or a trusted vendor who can give you recommendations based on your vision of what you're looking for, and then you have to go and make that choice and feel good about that yourself, for sure, for sure. That's what I would do.
Totally. So how, as a professional in this world, how do you build that? So obviously, being on a dream team like this is going to be a referral engine, right? They're going to get you in there. If you're one of those two people this planner's recommending all the time, that's great. How do you get to that level? How do you become one of the 2, 3, 4 people on somebody else's list?
So this actually calls back to a lot of the things we've talked about in past episodes. And obviously, first and foremost, it's execution. It's going into every wedding, every opportunity with the most, giving, professional, just synergistic attitude, friendly attitude you could possibly have. So you knock it out of the park when you get that one opportunity. But I think
Gotcha.
One-on-one networking, going to the events, getting to know the people, having follow-ups where you start to build relationships with other vendors so they know who you are as a person. Sometimes, I want people to know me off the stage. I flip that switch when I put that mic in my hand and I get on that stage.
Right.
But I want them to know who I am as a person. So getting to know the other vendors that then can back up the work that you do. And it, of course, it is a process. But the Monday through Friday part of this, of getting out of your office, getting out of your house, getting, out of your car, and going and talking and meeting people and building relationships, especially with planners and venues, I think is number one. That is critically important. There's my first tip.
Right. But what if you're new and you don't have all that time? That sounds really hard, Derek.
Those are three different things. What if you're new? It's really hard. And what if you don't have the time? If you don't have the time, then
those are all excuses.
Yeah. Well, but they're all separate too. If you don't have the time, then what do you even? Then that's not really your goal, is it?
Yeah.
To be that successful, then something else is taking up your time, and that's where you should be putting all your focus. It's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, it's gonna take a strategy, and then it's gonna take effort to execute on that. But you got to document the goal. What is my goal? My goal is to be on the short preferred vendor list for the 3 planners that I love working with the most.
Right.
And this goes right back to something we've talked about, I don't know, way earlier on in this podcast. And that is, I would tell somebody this year, pick 2 or 3 planners, or 2 or 3 up to 5 planners plus venues that you're going to focus on this year, building a strong relationship with. Yeah. And so that's one of the tips. So that was it. And then what if you're new was the third one. So don't have the time, it's hard. And what if you're new? If you're new, it's getting to know where the opportunities are to connect with people. So it's looking into your local ILEA chapter, your NACE chapter, or starting with the venues, because it's easy to know the venues exist. They're there.
Right.
They're brick and mortar. Going in and introducing yourself to the sales team, and then you can even start asking questions. Hey, I'm new in this industry. I want to build my reputation. I know I can do a great job. I know I can support and help other vendors at a wedding and doing their great job, but people don't know that yet. Hey, venue XYZ, are there a few of the planners or photographers in town that you guys recommend that I could introduce myself to if I wanted to start to get to know them? And let them. Then they're referring this person to those vendors just like they would a couple. But it just takes time. You just got to start. But first and foremost, you got to be willing to put in the work to execute and do a great job. Accept this mindset that you want to be able to work well with others and not just be focused on the part of your job.
Yeah, right. You have to offer more than what your basic offering is, right? If you are just a great photographer but a horrible person, you might get a couple really cool gigs, and then that's it. You'll kind of push yourself out of the industry. So
I use that specific example when I'm referring you and the couple of other people that I do refer regularly. That exact point you just made. I say on their website you can see their actual photos, you can watch their actual videos, but you got to remember they are going to be with you from the morning, the beginning of the day when you start doing hair and makeup. They are right there, and they're with you through the ceremony. They're with you behind the scenes. They're with you on the party bus. They're with you before your grand intro. If you don't like your photographer, videographer, if they're annoying to you, that is
Right.
going to cause such a huge amount of anxiety on your wedding day. That to me
Totally.
should be one of the most important things that a photographer or videographer tries to sell on their social media, on their website, in their sales meetings, is their personality and how easy they are to work with as a person.
Perfect. Yeah, totally. I mean, that's what really. So talent gets you in the room, right? So you're going to have a good portfolio. Wow, that's great. Now I want to talk to this guy or gal, see if they're cool, see if they get what I'm talking about. And if you mess that up, all of that money spent on ads, on promotions, on your website, on all of that, now they come to you and it's time to shine, and you just bomb it. It's wasted time exponentially from beginning to that point, and money, because you got a lead finally that's interested and you're kind of a jerk, or you don't really care enough about what they're talking about. Like, that's it's pretty sad. It's pretty hard. I'm sure it happens every once in a while to everybody if you're in the wrong mood or the wrong whatever. But man, you gotta be ready and capitalize on every opportunity you get.
Yep, yep. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but can you think of a time or an example or an instance where you, or actually, I guess where you or any of the vendors totally pulled one of the other vendors' butts out of the fire and saved them and saved the day, kind of behind the scenes?
Yeah. Let's see. So, as soon as you said that, something jumped to mind. So obviously we do photography and cinematography, so photo and video stuff. I always have a lot of extra gear with me just in case. So years ago, we were doing photography for an event, and the videographer, I don't even remember what company or who it wasn't with us, had a bunch of issues with sound, and they weren't able to connect to the DJ. They didn't really even know how to use their gear right. So it was obvious that they were like, playing in a league above their, where they should be. So I had to step in, help them with lighting, step in, help them with audio, set the audio, record everything, reformat everything for them, and use some backup stuff that I had in my own bag for them, and then let them download it afterwards. I just did like a Dropbox send to them, and it saved the day. They were super thankful. I never told the couple that I did anything like that for them, but if I didn't, they wouldn't have had any vows recorded. They wouldn't have had any speeches recorded or music or anything from that reception. So thank goodness we had a little bit of extra stuff with us, which I always have. Even if I'm just doing photo, I have a minimal amount of video things in my truck, so we can cover that as well. So that was one option we were able to step in and kind of help. And it wasn't just because I wanted that guy to be super successful, although I didn't want him to look like an idiot. I wanted that couple to have a great experience across the board. So,
Love it. Love it. We had one, well, this has happened lots of times, but that's why I do it now every week. I carry a separate laptop that I put off to the side, and I run a USB line out of my mixer into this laptop so I can record all audio.
Awesome.
Multi-track. So I record a separate track for every single mic, every single
nice.
instrument, and everything. And I always make sure that is not just recording when we're playing music, which is what I originally had set it up for. So I could record our shows, mix them down, have promo audio later that was recorded 100% live. But
Right.
I also I start hitting record the moment that I start talking for the MC stuff, grand intros and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And we had an instance where we had a videographer that their Zoom recorder, I don't know if it was the volume was just turned all the way down, or they didn't hit record, or they had the wrong inputs like that. I don't know. But they didn't get any of the audio. And we were talking about this at dinner. And I said, well, it just so happens I have a clean, fully, isolated recording of every single piece of what just happened. And I was able to mix that down and give them a copy that they were then able to put into their video, and they were
save the day.
They were very thankful, and it became something that is easy for me to do, but it's always there as a backup to help, should they need it. As you know, I'm a hobbyist videographer. I love to do my YouTube videos, and I shoot videos and stuff. So I always carry stuff around. I am waiting for the day that a videographer drops a lens and I get to give them a lens and say, I got you. But
I got you covered, man.
that hasn't happened yet. I know it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, I have dropped lenses before, and it's a sad day when it does happen, but that's why you carry lots and lots of stuff. I have one lens that I think it's maybe I don't know, $3,200 to start, and I've dropped it twice now and had to get it refixed and refurbished. So the joke is now it's like a $7,000 lens. Pretty sweet. I paid $7,000 for this $3,000 lens, but it works 99% of the time. So
50% of the time, it works every time.
oh yeah. Yeah, so you could have that could have been a good business opportunity, you know. Hey, for special price, I can give you full mix down of a whole event.
I don't want to give away any of our competitive advantages, but that particular aspect may be something that is a huge piece of our takeaways for our clients.
Redundancies and preparedness. Because the thing is, we have probably experienced almost every kind of oops mistake, whether it was from us, from someone else, from someone who broke something of ours. And if we weren't ready or prepared, we wouldn't have been able to save our own day. So that's one thing, just being in the industry for a while, you learn like everything can go wrong. So be ready for any of it. And when you're ready, then nothing's going wrong because it's already fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you've got a team like that, that feeds well, you know, back and forth and into each other, that drastically minimizes those opportunities for things to go wrong.
Totally.
And I think that's kind of a good way to sum this all up and kind of start to end this episode is the idea there being building a dream vendor team for your wedding is not just about picking people who do great at their one piece of the pie. It's very much about picking a team of people who work extremely well together so that they can make sure your wedding day from the first moment of the morning till when the lights go up at the end of the reception, that everything goes perfect and that every piece is done at its absolute peak level. Yeah?
Totally.
Nice.
Go team.
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It's so nice to be back together, man. Okay, here's the deal. Next week, I might be offline again, so you might have to go solo without me.
Where are you going to be next week now?
So that's what July is. It's I'm always home on the weekends for the gigs, but in between, in July, I get my family reunion done, which was Beaver Island, and then I get my wife's family reunion, which is what is next week on the west side of the state.
Awesome.
For those that know what I'm doing, it's going to be Beaver Island is up in the middle of the air up here. And next week I'll be way over here, and Detroit is right there. So I'll be over in Stevensville over there. It just so happens, like Beaver Island, internet services, horrible.
Awesome.
So we'll talk about that. But so next week, maybe we'll be together. Maybe you're riding solo. Maybe you'll have a guest. Who knows?
It's a mystery. Roulette wheel.
We'll figure it out. But I just want to reiterate that the idea for this episode came from a wedding that we did together recently. And, you know, as is always the case, you and your team are extremely easy to work with, and you make it fun. Our planner that we had, Jenny Wiegand from, Beautiful Day, was, as always, amazing. Brian Weitzel, awesome. The Detroit Athletic Club. If you are planning a wedding, don't just look at the work that they do. Think about how well they do and can work together as a team. It will make your day a bazillion times better.
A gajillion even.
A quintillion? That's actually a real one.
There you go.
Yeah. Always a great time hanging with you, Mike.
Yeah. Looking forward to the mystery episode next week, and we'll see what happens. It's been fun. I missed you last week.
I know.
We had people didn't see the the behind the scenes panic we both had trying to get all this stuff going. We tried and tried and tried, but hey, here we are. We're back at it.
Yeah.
What episode are we on? We didn't even mention that.
This was episode 20, baby. 20.
Boom.
20
wow, that's
episodes.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and we're nonstop to 100 and then onwards and upwards from there. And the goal here is just to connect every week and talk about things that are relevant to event professionals and to our, clients out there planning weddings and events, and, just kind of create a forum for good conversation, tips and tricks, and, good idea sharing.
Yeah, and how to stay alive through it all and happy.
Yeah, well, ain't that the key? Ain't that the key? But this hour every week is therapeutic for me, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Hey, man, have a wonderful week.
You too. So when do you actually head out then?
Sunday after I do a wedding.
Sunday,
oh, this is actually fun. I'm doing a wedding Saturday night, and then Sunday morning I need to be on the west side of the state early because I get to be a godfather to
All right.
our cousin's little baby girl that was just born, Mia, and she's getting baptized in the waters of Lake Michigan.
Super cool.
On Sunday morning. So I'm going to be hustling out there so that I can be a godfather to her. So
I want to hear your best godfather experience next week.
I will make sure I give it to you.
After I'm a godfather.
Yeah, I'm going to make her an offer she can't refuse. Yeah.
Perfect.
Hey, buddy, have a great week.
You too, man.
I'll see you on the next one.
See you in the next one. 21, episode 21 incoming.
There you go. Later, man.
Peace.